What if I told you that youth isn't a number on your ID, but a quiet inner current that can start moving again, no matter how many birthdays you've had? What if there were a small, almost forgotten spot on your own body? A subtle doorway, guarded by ancient wisdom. That could help switch back on the energy you're convinced time has stolen from you. For centuries, wise healers noticed something that modern life often ignores. The human body is not just muscle and bone, but a sacred map, crisscrossed by invisible rivers of life force that shape how we feel, think, and age. When those inner rivers flow freely, something changes. Your spirit lights up again. Your skin starts to glow in a way no cream can fake. Your thoughts become clearer, and that heavy, bone-deep fatigue begins to lift, like fog dissolving as the sun rises. Today, we're going to focus on one of those energetic crossroads, a point called SP-6, known in ancient traditions as the crossroads of vitality, a place where different streams of your inner power come together. SP-6 is not just a point on the ankle. It's like a hidden junction where deep forces meet, a place where three major internal currents come together and recognize each other. In that tiny zone, old teachings say, lies a dormant key. And that key can be turned with something as simple and profound as a mindful massage. We live in a world that hunts for youth in bottles, injections, surgical procedures, or complex routines. And yet, the old teachings quietly repeat another story. Youth is not something you buy or consume. It's something you awaken. That awakening begins the moment you decide to treat your body not as a worn-out machine, but as a wise guide, a living oracle. In this video, we're going to explore why SP-6 has been honored for thousands of years as a guardian of vital energy and deep internal balance. We'll dive into how stimulating this point can influence not just muscles, blood flow, or skin, but also the subtle layers you rarely see. Unresolved emotions, sleeping creativity, and even the ancestral memory encoded in every one of your cells. I'll walk you step by step through the deeper meaning of this point, how it relates to rejuvenation, and how to activate it properly so it becomes more than a technique. It becomes a daily ritual of coming back to yourself. We won't be talking only about where to press or how long. We'll talk about intention, presence, and the respect you show the home you live in, your own body. This isn't a video to have playing in the background while you scroll your phone. It's an invitation. A half-open door into an ancient body of knowledge that survived the centuries for one simple reason. It continues to work. So take a deeper breath. Let your shoulders drop. You're about to remember something your body has quietly known all along. To really grasp the power of SP-6, we need to step back into a time when people didn't slice the world into science on one side and spirituality on the other. In many ancient Eastern cultures, the human being was seen as a small universe, a living reflection of the same laws that move the stars, shift the seasons, and guide the cycles of nature. You weren't separate from the cosmos. You were a concentrated version of it. Classical writings from traditional Chinese medicine describe human beings as networks of invisible channels known as meridians. These channels weren't imagined as something vague or mystical. They were understood as meaningful pathways through which qi, the life force that animates everything, travels and communicates. These meridians aren't just energy pipes. They're pathways of awareness, connection points between your physical body and your inner world. When qi moves smoothly through these channels, you experience health, clarity, inner steadiness, and the kind of longevity that isn't just about living longer, but living better. When that flow is blocked or scattered, wear and tear shows up faster. Your mind gets clouded. and aging seems to accelerate. SP-6, traditionally called Sanyin-jiao. The meeting of the three yin has a special place on this sacred map. The name isn't poetic decoration. It tells you exactly what's happening there. Three major meridians meet at this point: the spleen, the liver, and the kidney. According to ancient wisdom, these three systems are like pillars holding up your internal house. They influence the blood, your deep vitality, and how you store and spend your internal time. The kidneys, in particular, were seen as keepers of Jing, your inherited essence, the original spark you're born with. For the ancients, aging wasn't only a matter of counting years. It was about how that essence was handled day after day. Every emotional burden you never process, every excess, every time you disconnect from the natural rhythms of life, you spend a bit of that inner treasure. Over time, that account runs low. SP-6 was understood as a point that could nourish and protect this reserve, like watering the roots instead of just polishing the leaves. Philosophically, yin speaks to what is deep, hidden, receptive, the quiet place from which life quietly grows. Activating a yin point isn't about force or control. It's about listening. That's why SP-6 massage has always been recommended as a slow, aware ritual, almost a form of moving meditation. It was never meant to be a mindless pressing or a quick hack. It was regarded as a real conversation with your body, a gentle invitation for energy to find its natural roots again. In many Taoist traditions, this point was linked with internal alchemy, the art of transforming your inner landscape, not metals in a laboratory. Just as an alchemist turns base metal into gold, the practitioner uses this point to turn fatigue into vitality, rigidity into flow, and the passage of years into embodied wisdom. SP-6 became like a subtle furnace where scattered forces could gather, reorganize, and renew. Even beyond medicine, wise teachers warned that this point had a deep effect on mood and emotional harmony. The liver is tied to anger and frustration, the spleen to worry and overthinking, and the kidney to fear and insecurity. Piling these emotions up without releasing them ages the soul, long before the body shows it. Working this point became a symbolic way to soothe these three inner guardians at once. In that sense, SP-6 is not just another technique. It's a living reminder of a truth we've almost forgotten. Youth isn't hunted down. It's cultivated from the inside out. Picture your body for a moment as an old, finely made clock. Not one with exposed gears, but one running on hidden tides and rhythms. Every emotion is a subtle swing, every thought another tick, every habit a force that speeds up or slows down the way you experience time. Inside that living clock, SP-6 acts like a quiet regulator, the hidden piece that can help your natural timing fall back into place when everything feels out of sync. Physically, SP-6 is a few finger widths above the inner ankle bone. But if you reduce it to 2 fingers above here and press there, you miss the real story. In a deeper sense, it's a threshold, a hinge between the dense and the subtle. When you massage it with intention, you're not just touching skin and muscle. You're waking up energetic memories your body pushed aside to keep you functioning. The first key to understanding its influence is knowing what it means for the 3 yin meridians to meet. Yin isn't weakness or passivity. It's depth, roots, fertile soil. The place where things quietly regenerate. The spleen transforms and nourishes. The liver keeps things moving and releases what's stuck. And the kidney guards what's essential and stores your deepest reserves. When these 3 are aligned, energy stops bleeding out in all directions and starts circulating again, like a river that stops leaking into dry cracks and finally finds its true course. Massaging SP-6 is like clearing an ancient water gate that's been clogged for years. At first, the change can be subtle. A gentle warmth, a soft pulsing under your fingers, a faint tingling that comes and goes. But as you repeat the practice, your body begins to recognize the signal. It starts reallocating resources, directing more nourishment to where it's needed, easing a fatigue you assumed was just life, deepening your sleep, and quietly restoring radiance to your skin. Not as a cosmetic trick, but as a natural reflection of inner harmony. From a Taoist perspective, this point embodies a core teaching. Real power doesn't shout, like the lines in the Tao Te Ching that describe strength as something that moves without force. The work on SP-6 isn't harsh or aggressive. It's rhythmic, steady, respectful. Your pressure is firm enough to be felt, yet soft enough to invite rather than demand. In that balance, you're reminding the body of a language it spoke long before your mind learned words. Some people describe this practice as a kind of quiet alchemy. Every minute of massage is like a drop of awareness reaching down toward the roots. The aim isn't a quick fix or instant before and after result, but a gradual reshaping. The way wind and rain gently sculpt stone, or how a river slowly reclaims its path. Over time, your system relearns how to preserve its energy instead of hemorrhaging it through constant tension, stress, and emotional overload. At this stage, it's important to see SP-6 as a gathering point. If your attention and energy are scattered, part of you always stuck in the past and another part anxiously jumping into the future. This point acts like a callback to the only place where life actually happens, the present moment. And the present, as the elders knew, is the only place where real renewal can take root. When you massage SP-6, you're not just performing a physical gesture, you're making a statement. On a deeper level, you're telling your body, I'm here, I'm listening now. And when your body finally feels heard, it often responds with a generosity your thinking mind could never predict. In the next part, we'll go further into the less obvious sides of this point. How it influences mood, what precautions to keep in mind, and the common mistakes that silently sabotage its potential. If earlier we described SP-6 as a doorway, now we need to look at what happens when that door actually swings open. Because any powerful key comes with responsibility. The old masters understood this very well. True knowledge isn't meant to be used automatically or obsessively, but with understanding, timing, and respect for the natural cycles inside you. One of the most fascinating aspects of SP-6 is its link with inner time. While your watch counts minutes and years, your body tracks something else, reserves. And those reserves don't get drained only by physical effort. They're massively affected by emotional imbalance. Long-term fear slowly wears down the kidneys. Suppressed anger and resentment strain the liver. Chronic worry and rumination exhaust the spleen. SP-6 sits at the intersection of these forces, acting like a quiet mediator. By helping energy move again through these pathways, it supports you in releasing emotional states that have been stuck for far too long. This might sound surprising. How could touching one small spot on the ankle affect all of that? But the answer lies in what you could call the holographic intelligence of the body. Just like a tiny seed holds the blueprint for an entire tree, specific points can reflect and influence the whole system. SP-6 doesn't carry the burden of doing everything for you. Instead, it reminds your body how to access its own instructions for balance and repair. There's another essential element here: intention. Working on SP-6 while your mind is elsewhere will have some effect, but it's like half turning a key and never opening the door. And when you combine touch with slow, intentional breathing and genuine attention, the point becomes a resonance center. Like a string on an instrument that starts vibrating in tune, simply pressing a string doesn't create music. Touching it with awareness and listening does. Many people who practice regularly report changes that go beyond feeling a bit more relaxed. After a few weeks, they notice steadier emotions, less reactivity, and a quieter mental background. As if the constant internal noise has been turned down a few notches, they start to feel like they have more space inside to respond to life instead of just reacting. The old texts also carried a warning. Even good things can become unbalanced if pushed too far. Some traditions emphasize that overstimulating SP-6 could stir up deep energies faster than a person is ready to handle. That's why moderation was always the guideline. Just a few minutes at a time, practiced consistently, combined with honest attention to how you feel. The path of real rejuvenation is not a sprint. It's a return to a rhythm that was always yours. There's also something meaningful about where SP-6 sits. At the ankle, the part of your body that decides how you stand, how you step forward, how you hold your weight. Activating this point is like quietly reviewing the way you walk through your own life. Are you moving with tension or with ease? Are you dragging along burdens that no longer belong to you? In internal alchemy, SP-6 was associated with gathering what has been scattered. What's been spread too thin returns to its source. What's been drained is gradually replenished. What's grown rigid begins to soften. Not to erase the years you've lived, but to help you fully inhabit each phase with presence instead of fatigue. Real youth, according to the sages, isn't about looking like you never aged. It's about not feeling worn out from the inside. SP-6 doesn't offer overnight miracles or dramatic gimmicks. It offers something far more sustainable: coherence. And when your body finds coherence, external glow shows up as a side effect, not a goal. In the next part, we'll turn all of this into practical steps. Everyday rituals you can fold into your routine, so this old wisdom turns into lived experience instead of just interesting theory. Information that never reaches your daily life eventually becomes noise. That's why the ancients didn't value techniques in isolation. They valued rituals. Small, regular, conscious actions that slowly reshape your relationship with your body and with time. Massaging SP-6 isn't meant to be another item on a long to-do list. It's meant to become a gentle thread woven into the fabric of your life. The first guideline is simple: steady consistency. You don't need long sessions or extreme pressure. 2 to 5 minutes a day on each leg is enough to begin. Choose in-between moments, right after waking up, when your day hasn't yet taken over your attention, or before sleep, when your energy is naturally returning inward. Those transitional times act like natural gateways when your system is more receptive. The second guideline: let your breath do half the work. As you press the point with a gentle, unsteady rhythm, inhale slowly through your nose and exhale as if you're letting go of something heavy you've been carrying too long. Imagine your exhale flowing all the way down to your ankles, washing away tension, fear, and accumulated exhaustion. A massage without conscious breath is mechanical. With breath, it becomes a small act of inner transformation. Third, pay attention to what surfaces. SP-6 doesn't only move physical energy, it can bring up memories, sensations, or emotions you didn't realize you were still holding. If sadness, irritation, or old images arise, don't push them away. Notice them the way you'd watch clouds move across the sky. This is part of the rejuvenation process, releasing what has been aging you from the inside so something fresher can take its place. Fourth, be mindful of what you feed yourself with. Not just food, but mental input. In traditional thought, the spleen is especially affected by rumination and constant worry. If you diligently massage SP-6 but spend the rest of the day feeding your mind a diet of anxiety, comparison, and fear, your energy will scatter again. Whenever possible, support this ritual with small moments of silence, slow walks, or journaling that helps you clear mental clutter. Fifth, remember that less but often is more powerful than a lot once in a while. Pressing so hard that you trigger pain doesn't make the practice more effective. It can actually create resistance in your body. Pain tightens. Tightness blocks flow. You're aiming for a sensation that feels like firm, caring contact. Like ringing a bell and letting the sound resonate. This point responds better to gentle loyalty than to aggressive intensity. Finally, make the gesture symbolic. Every time your fingers find SP-6, let a simple inner phrase rise up, like "I come back to myself" or "my energy renews in its own time." The body responds strongly to symbols, images, and feelings, often more than to strict commands. With repetition, this small ritual becomes an anchor in your day. A reminder that youth is not something you plead for from the future or grieve from the past. It's something you quietly cultivate, here and now. We've traveled along an old path, one you won't find on trendy wellness lists or in promises of instant transformation. We've explored a point that seems physically small but is immense in meaning. SP-6 is more than a spot on your leg. It's a living reminder that the energy of youth doesn't vanish. It retreats when we stop paying attention, and it returns when we start listening again. Throughout this journey, we've seen the body not as a problem to fix, but as a sacred text written in a silent language. We've been reminded that time isn't just something that happens to us from the outside. It responds to how present, tense, or at peace we are on the inside. Vazu, true vitality isn't born from waging war against age, but from realigning with the rhythms that have always been there, just beneath the noise. SP-6 serves as a crossroads where scattered parts of you begin to regroup, where what's drained starts to replenish, where what's been forgotten gets a chance to breathe again. We've seen how ancient traditions spoke of youth not as a face in the mirror, but as inner coherence. The state where your emotions, your energy, and your awareness all walk in the same direction. When that happens, the wear and tear of life slows down. Not because your body refuses to age, but because it's no longer constantly fighting itself. Working with this point is, at its heart, an act of making peace with yourself. Maybe the most powerful aspect of this practice isn't the physical result, but the lesson it carries. It asks you to pause, to touch your own body with respect instead of criticism, and to give yourself a few minutes each day where you don't have to perform, produce, or prove anything. You simply come home to yourself. In that return, something quietly reshapes, something stiff begins to loosen, something deep inside remembers what balance feels like. Don't look for fireworks or dramatic overnight shifts. Deep changes usually don't make a lot of noise. They show themselves in the way you breathe a little more freely, in how your mood stabilizes, in those mornings when you notice you woke up feeling just a bit lighter. Genuine youth has a calm quality to it. It doesn't need to shout or show off. It's felt from the inside. If what we've explored here resonated with you, don't leave it as just another interesting idea. Test it. Let your own experience be the real teacher. Bring this small ritual into your days and notice, over time, how it becomes a safe place. A private conversation with your own life force, a way of honoring the part of you that's always wanted to feel more alive. Before we part, I want to leave you with a question to carry, not to rush to answer. What part of you has been quietly asking for your attention, waiting for the chance to come alive again? Let that question sit with you in quiet moments. Let it guide what you choose to heal, what you choose to release, and what you choose to nourish. Explore further if you feel called. Read, learn, practice, observe, and never forget, the source you've been searching for was never really out there. It has always been pulsing in the background, waiting for you to notice. If this message touched something in you, if it brought clarity or comfort, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe, leave a like so this knowledge can reach more people, and share your reflections in the comments. Your voice keeps this wisdom alive, and your presence helps build a space where we remember together. Because in the end, real rejuvenation isn't about turning back the clock. It's about turning back toward yourself. And before you move on with your day, let this final thought land gently. No one else can live inside your body or walk your path for you. You can listen to teachers, follow guidance, and receive support, but the choice to show up for yourself, to care, to practice, to be honest about what you feel, is yours alone. That choice is where your real power begins. So as you go forward, don't just ask how long you can stay young. Ask instead how deeply you're willing to participate in your own life. The moment you take that responsibility, not as a burden but as a privilege, something in you wakes up. Not the kind of youth that fades in photographs, but the kind that shows in your eyes, your presence, and the way you meet each new day.